Jake Morrison stood at the large window in his office. He watched the alien ship floating above New York City. The ship was huge. It blocked out the sun. The metal hull was dark gray and covered with strange symbols. Jake had seen many alien ships before, but this one felt different. This one felt dangerous. Jake was Earth's ambassador to alien species. He had held this job for 5 years. In that time, he had met beings from 12 different worlds. Most of them were friendly. Some wanted to trade. Others just wanted to talk. But the ship outside his window belonged to the Galactic Council. They were not here to trade or talk. His phone rang. Jake picked it up without looking away from the window. "Morrison here," he said. "Jake, you need to get down here now." It was Lisa Carter, Earth's Secretary of Defense. Her voice sounded tight and worried. "They sent us a message. You're not going to like it." Jake grabbed his jacket and headed for the elevator. The United Nations building was busy today. People rushed through the halls. Some carried papers. Others talked on phones. Everyone looked scared. Word had already spread that the council ship was here. The elevator took him down to the secure floors. 2 guards checked his badge before letting him through. Jake walked down a long hallway lined with doors. Each door led to a different department: defense, science, intelligence, communications. Today, they were all working together. Lisa Carter waited for him outside the main briefing room. She was a tall woman with short gray hair. She had been Secretary of Defense for 3 years. Before that, she had been a general in the Army. Lisa did not scare easily, but today her face was pale. "How bad is it?" Jake asked. "See for yourself," Lisa said. She opened the door. The briefing room was full of people. President Tony Richards sat at the head of the table. He was a young president, only 45 years old. Next to him sat Amy Brooks, the chief science advisor. Amy was brilliant. She understood alien technology better than anyone on Earth. Captain Ryan Kelly stood near a large screen on the wall. Ryan commanded Earth's Defense Force. He was a good soldier and a smart leader, but even he looked worried today. "Jake, good. You're here." President Richards stood up. "We need to discuss the council's message. It arrived an hour ago." Jake took a seat at the table. "What do they want?" Amy Brooks pressed a button. The screen came to life. An alien face appeared. The creature had blue skin and 4 eyes. Its mouth was full of sharp teeth. Jake recognized the species. This was Zarkith, the council's military leader. "People of Earth," the alien said. Its voice was deep and cold. "I am Zarkith of the Dominion. I speak for the Galactic Council. Your world has been judged. You will now pay tribute to the Council." The message continued. Jake listened with growing anger. The Council wanted 40% of Earth's resources. They wanted 20% of Earth's people to work as slaves. They wanted all of Earth's advanced technology, and they wanted it all within 30 days. "If you refuse," Zarkith said, "your world will be destroyed. We have done this before. Many worlds have tried to resist us. They no longer exist. You have 30 Earth days to comply. Do not test our patience." The screen went dark. The room was quiet for a long moment. 17 worlds, Amy said softly. "We've confirmed it. 17 civilizations that refused the Council's demands. All of them are gone now. Nothing left but rocks floating in space." President Richards ran his hand through his hair. "What are our options?" Captain Kelly stepped forward. "Mr. President, our official fleet has 12 ships. The Council has over 200 ships in orbit. We cannot win a straight fight." "What about negotiations?" Jake asked. "Maybe we can offer them something else." Lisa shook her head. The Council doesn't negotiate. They never have. Every species either pays tribute or gets destroyed. There is no middle ground. Amy pulled up new images on the screen. They showed destroyed planets, broken worlds with no life left on them. The Council has been doing this for 1,000 years, she said. They rule through fear. No one has ever successfully resisted them. There has to be something we can do, President Richards said. There might be, Captain Kelly said quietly. Everyone looked at him. But you're not going to like it. Tell us, the President said. Kelly hesitated. We could fight, but not the way they expect. We would need time to prepare. We would need to be smart about it. You just said we can't win a straight fight, Lisa pointed out. That's right. But who says it has to be a straight fight? Jake studied Kelly's face. The captain was hiding something. What aren't you telling us, Ryan? Kelly looked at President Richards. Sir, some of what I'm about to say is classified at the highest levels. Are you sure you want to discuss it here? President Richards looked around the room. Everyone here has top security clearance. Speak freely. Kelly nodded. We've been preparing for this day for 20 years. Ever since first contact, we knew the Council existed. We knew what they did to other worlds. So we prepared. Prepared how? Amy asked. Project Defiance. Hidden weapons. Secret shipyards. Defense platforms disguised as asteroids. We've been building and planning while pretending to be weak. The room erupted in surprised voices. Jake held up his hand for quiet. Are you saying we can actually fight the Council? I'm saying we can try. But it would be the biggest gamble in human history. If we lose, Earth dies. Everyone dies. President Richards was quiet for a long time. He stared at the image of the destroyed worlds on the screen. Finally, he spoke. How long do we have to decide? The Council expects an answer in 72 hours, Amy said. That's their standard time limit. No species has ever taken longer than that to surrender. And if we don't answer in 72 hours, they start bombing, Kelly said simply. Jake looked out the window. The alien ship still floated above the city. Millions of people walked the streets below, not knowing their world might end in 3 days. Children played in parks. People went to work. Families had dinner together. All of it could be gone soon. I need to think about this, President Richards said. Lisa, I want a full report on our actual military capabilities. Amy, I need to know everything about Council technology. Ryan, brief me on this Project Defiance. Jake, start drafting possible responses to their demand. And if they contact us before we're ready? Jake asked. President Richards stood up. Tell them we're considering their terms. Buy us time to prepare one way or another. As the meeting ended, Jake remained in his chair. He thought about the Council's message. 40% of Earth's resources. 20% of its people. Complete surrender of their technology. It was slavery for the entire human race. But the alternative might be extinction. Jake looked at the screen, showing the destroyed worlds. Billions of people had lived on those planets once. Now they were just floating rocks in empty space. Would Earth join them soon? He stood up and walked to the window. The Council ship hung in the sky like a dark cloud. In 3 days, humanity would have to choose. Submit to slavery or fight for freedom. Either way, nothing would ever be the same. Dr. Sam Watson walked through the halls of the Geneva Research Center. His footsteps echoed in the empty corridor. It was late at night, but Sam could not sleep. The Council's message played over and over in his mind. 40% of Earth's resources, 20% of its people. The numbers made him sick. Sam was Earth's leading expert on alien biology. He had studied 12 different species. He understood how they thought and how they lived. The Council species were not evil. He believed. They were just afraid. Fear made them cruel. His phone buzzed. A text message from his assistant. Emergency meeting in conference room. All department heads required. Sam sighed and changed direction. Conference room A was on the other side of the building. As he walked, he thought about possible solutions. Maybe humans could negotiate. Maybe they could find something there. Council wanted more than resources and slaves. The conference room was already full when Sam arrived. He recognized most of the faces. Dr. Amy Brooks sat at the head of the table. She looked tired. General Kate Murphy stood near the back wall. Her arms were crossed and her face was hard. Professor Dan Lewis from the Strategic Studies Institute sat near the window. He was taking notes on his tablet. Sam, good. Now we can start, Amy said. We need to discuss our response to the Council's demands. The President wants options. Real options. General Murphy stepped forward. The only real option is to fight. We cannot give them what they want. 40% of our resources would cripple our economy. Taking 20% of our people would destroy families and communities. We have to resist. With what army? Dr. Watson asked. The Council has thousands of ships. We have 12. They have weapons that can destroy planets. We have missiles that barely work in space. Actually, that's not entirely true, said a new voice from the doorway. Everyone turned to look. A woman in work clothes stood there. She had grease on her, hands and dirt on her boots. Sorry I'm late. Traffic from Mars was terrible today. Amy smiled. Everyone, this is Beth Collins. She runs the shipyards on Mars. Beth walked to the table and set down a thick folder. I've been listening to your conversation from the hallway. You're working with old information. Yes, our public fleet has only 12 ships, but that's not our real fleet. She opened the folder and spread out papers across the table. The papers showed ship designs, construction schedules, and resource allocation charts. For the past 20 years we've been building ships in secret, Beth said. Hidden shipyards in the asteroid belt. Automated factories on the far side of the moon. Underground construction bays on Mars. We have been very busy. Professor Lewis looked up from his notes. How many ships are we talking about? As of yesterday, we have completed 237 warships. Another 50 are nearly finished. They're not as big as Council ships, but they're fast and well-armed. The room was quiet. Sam stared at the papers on the table. 200 ships? How did you keep this secret? Very carefully, Beth said. Only a few hundred people knew the full scope of the project. Everyone else thought they were working on separate, smaller projects. Mining equipment, research stations, communication satellites. We told different stories to different people. General Murphy picked up one of the ship designs. These look advanced. More advanced than our public technology. They are. We've been working with captured Council technology for years. Every time one of their ships visits Earth, we scan it. We learn from it. We improve our own designs. Amy leaned forward. Beth, are you saying we can actually fight the Council? I'm saying we can defend ourselves. Whether we can win is a different question. Professor Lewis cleared his throat. There's something else you all need to know. Something about the Council's real situation. Everyone looked at him. Dan Lewis was known for his careful research and accurate predictions. If he had information, it was important. The Council is not as strong as they appear, Dan said. Yes, they have many ships. Yes, they control many worlds. But they're spread very thin. Our intelligence networks have been watching them for years. What intelligence networks? Sam asked. Don smiled. The ones we built while everyone thought we were just a peaceful trading partner. We have listening posts throughout the galaxy. We intercept Council communications. We track their ship movements. We know their weaknesses. He activated a wall screen and showed a map of the galaxy. Red dots marked Council positions. Blue dots marked human intelligence posts. The Council rules through fear, and continued. But fear only works if you can back it up. Right now, the Council is fighting rebellions on 6 different worlds. There, main fleet is divided. Only a small force is here at Earth. How small? General Murphy asked. About 200 ships. That's all they could spare for us. Beth laughed. 200 Council ships versus 237 human ships. I like those odds. It's not that simple, Sam warned. Their ships are bigger. Their weapons are more powerful. Their shields are stronger. True, said another voice. From the doorway, a man in a military uniform entered the room. Sam recognized him as Alex Turner, head of Earth's intelligence service. Sorry to interrupt, Alex said, but I have new information. The Council made a mistake when they sent us. Their demands. He walked to the wall screen and changed the display. Now it showed the Council's communication frequencies and encryption codes. They used standard diplomatic channels to contact us, Alex explained. We've been monitoring those channels for years. We can now intercept all Council communications in this system. What are they saying? Amy asked. Alex smiled. They're confident, very confident. Zarkith told his fleet commanders that humans will surrender within 12 hours. He says no species has ever resisted for more than 72 hours. Anything else? Yes. The Council High Command does not know about our hidden fleet. Their intelligence reports say we have only 12 ships and primitive weapons. They think this will be easy. General Murphy grinned. Good. Let them think that. Sam was not convinced. Even if we can match their numbers, fighting will cost lives. Millions of people could die. Maybe we should try negotiation first. What? Would we offer them? Beth asked. They want everything we have. Maybe we could give them some of what they want. Resources we can spare. Technology that isn't too dangerous. Find a middle ground. Professor Lewis shook his head. Sam, I understand your concern, but the Council doesn't negotiate. They never have. Every species either submits completely or gets destroyed. There is no middle ground. How can you be sure? Because we've studied their history. 1,000 years of conquest. Over 300 civilizations enslaved or destroyed. Not one successful negotiation. Not one compromise. They rule through absolute submission or absolute destruction. Amy stood up. We need to focus on practical matters. If we're going to fight, we need to prepare. Beth, how quickly can you move our hidden fleet into position? Give me 48 hours. I can have every ship ready for battle. Alex, what about intelligence support? I can disrupt their communications when the fighting starts. I can also feed them false information about our capabilities. General Murphy, what about ground defenses? We have missile defense systems around every major city. They're more advanced than the Council knows. We can protect our population centers. Sam listened to the planning with growing worry. These people were talking about war like it was just another project to manage. They did not understand the horror that was coming. You're all missing something important, Sam said. What if we lose? What if our secret fleet isn't enough? What if the Council calls for reinforcements? The room was quiet. Finally, Amy spoke. Then humanity dies fighting instead of living as slaves. Some choices are worth making, even if you might lose. And what about the children? Sam asked. What about the families who will suffer? Do we have the right to make this choice for them? General Murphy's face softened slightly. Sam, I have children too. A daughter and 2 sons. I want them to grow up free. I want them to choose their own lives. If we surrender to the Council, they'll never have that chance. Beth nodded. My nephew is 8 years old. He wants to be a pilot when he grows up. Under Council rule, he would be assigned to whatever job they choose. He would work in their mines or their factories. He would never see the stars. Professor Lewis added, freedom is not free. Every generation has to choose whether to fight for it or lose it. This is our generation's choice. Alex Turner checked his watch. We have less than 60 hours before the Council's deadline. If we're going to do this, we need to start now. Amy looked around the room. I'll report our options to the President. Hidden Fleet, Intelligence Support, Ground Defenses. We can fight if we choose to. And if the President decides to surrender, Sam asked, then we surrender. But at least we'll know we had a choice. As the meeting ended, people began to leave. Sam remained in his chair. He thought about the children Beth had mentioned. The families General Murphy wanted to protect. The freedom Professor Lewis talked about. Maybe they were right. Maybe some things were worth fighting for, even if you might lose. Sam looked at the ship designs still scattered on the table. Each one represented months of secret work. Thousands of people had spent years preparing for this moment. They had believed it would come eventually. Now, it was here. Sam stood up and walked to the window. In T. Commander Nick Stone floated in zero gravity inside his secret command station. The station was hidden inside a large asteroid in the belt between Mars and Jupiter. From the outside, it looked like just another rock. Inside, it was filled with advanced technology and weapons. Nick had been the commander of this station for 3 years. He and his crew of 50 people lived here permanently. Their job was to watch for threats and protect the hidden defense network that surrounded Earth's solar system. His communication panel beeped. A message was coming in from Earth. Nick pushed himself over to the control desk and pressed the receive button. Commander Stone, this is General Murphy. Authorization code Alpha 779. Nick recognized the code. It meant maximum emergency. I'm here, General. What's your status? The Council has given us an ultimatum. 30 days to surrender or face destruction. The President has authorized Project Defiance. Repeat, Project Defiance is now active. Nick felt his heart speed up. They had trained for this moment for years. But he had hoped it would never come. Understood, General. All defense platforms will be ready in 24 hours. Good. How many platforms do you have operational? Nick checked his displays. Green lights showed the status of each hidden weapons platform in the asteroid belt. There were many green lights. 47 platforms online. Each one is disguised as an asteroid or piece of space debris. The Council ships have passed right by them without noticing. Excellent. What about the outer system defenses? All operational. We have platforms hidden near Jupiter, Saturn, and Uranus. If Council reinforcements come from deep space, we'll see them long before they reach Earth. General Murphy was quiet for a moment. Nick, you understand what we're asking you to do. If this goes wrong, you and your people will be the first to die. We understand, Mom. We've been ready for 3 years. Good luck, Commander. Murphy. Out, the communication ended. Nick looked around the command center. His crew was already working at their stations. They had heard the conversation. Everyone knew what was coming. Status report, Nick called out. Lieutenant Sarah Kim looked up from her tactical display. All platforms responding normally. Weapons. Systems are charging up. We'll be at full power in 18 hours. What about concealment? Still perfect. Our platforms look exactly like Space Orcs to any sensor scan. The Council will never see us coming. Nick nodded. The concealment system had been the hardest part of the project. Each weapons platform was covered with real asteroid material. They looked natural, even up close. Only their internal power signatures would give them away, and those were shielded. Meanwhile, on Mars, Dr. Lucy Hayes worked frantically in her laboratory. She was trying to complete the most important project of her career. For 5 years, she had been developing a weapon that could disable enemy ships without destroying them. Lucy was a theoretical physicist. She understood how faster than light travel worked. All alien ships used the same basic technology to jump between star systems. If she could disrupt that technology, enemy ships would be trapped wherever they were. Her assistant, Dr. Bob Chun, handed her a cup of coffee. "The calculations are complete," he said. "The field generator will work, but we'll only get one chance to use it." "Why only one chance? The power requirements are enormous." "We'll need to drain energy from 3 power plants on Mars and 2 on Earth. Once we fire it, it will take weeks to recharge." Lucy sipped her coffee and studied the numbers on her screen. "How long will the effect last?" "If we're lucky, 6 to 8 hours. The Council ships won't be able to leave the solar system during that time. And if we're unlucky, the field might not work at all. Or it might disable our own ships too." Lucy set down her coffee cup. "Those are not good odds." "No, they're not. But it's the best we can do." On the other side of Mars, Captain Ryan Kelly stood in the main hangar of the secret shipyard. Around him, workers made final preparations on dozens of warships. These ships looked different from anything Earth had built before. They were sleek and fast, with weapons that could punch through. Thick armor. Colonel Mike Davis walked up beside him. Mike commanded the hidden fleet that had been built over the past 20 years. His ships were scattered throughout the outer solar system, waiting for orders. "Status report, Mike." 237 ships ready for combat. Crews are on board and systems are checked. We can move to attack positions in 12 hours. Ryan looked at the ships around them. Each one represented years of secret work. Thousands of people had helped build them without knowing the full plan. What about Admiral Foster? She's already in position with the main battle group, hidden behind Jupiter's moons. The Council has no idea we have ships out there. Admiral Grace Foster was Earth's most experienced space commander. She had spent her entire career preparing for this battle. Now she waited with the largest group of human warships ever assembled. "How do you think our people will perform in actual combat?" Ryan asked. Mike was quiet for a moment. "They're well-trained and well-equipped, but most of them have never been in a real space battle. The Council crews have centuries of experience. What's your honest assessment of our chances?" "If everything goes according to plan, we might win. If anything goes wrong, we'll lose badly." Ryan nodded. That was about what he had expected. Back on Earth, President Tony Richards sat in the Situation Room, deep below the White House. The room was filled with his top advisors and military commanders. Everyone looked tense. Final status reports. The president said. Amy Brooks spoke first. "All scientific preparations are complete. Dr. Hayes' field generator is ready. We have backup communication systems that the Council cannot intercept." General Murphy was next. "Military preparations are on schedule. Hidden fleet is moving to attack positions. Defense platforms are armed and ready. Ground-based missile systems are operational." Alex Turner cleared his throat. "Intelligence indicates the Council is still confident of easy victory. They have not called for reinforcements. Their ships are in standard occupation formation, not battle formation." "What does that mean?" President Richards asked. "It means they're planning to bombard Earth from orbit, not fight a space battle. They're not expecting resistance." Jake Morrison had been quiet during the briefing. Now he spoke up. "Mr. President, we still have time to negotiate. The Council. Deadline is not for another day. Maybe we can find a solution that doesn't involve fighting. President Richards looked around the room. Options for negotiation? Amy shook her head. The Council's demands are non-negotiable. They want 40% of our resources, 20% of our people, and complete technological surrender. There's no middle ground. What if we offered them something else? Something they value more than resources and slaves? Alex Turner spoke up. Sir, our intelligence suggests that the Council values only one thing more than tribute: complete submission. They want other species to fear them. If we negotiate now, it shows weakness. They'll demand even more. General Murphy added, Mr. President, every day we delay gives the Council more time to bring in reinforcements. If we're going to fight, we need to do it while we still have numerical equality. President Richards was quiet for a long time. He stared at the reports spread across the table. Each one represented the work of thousands of people. Scientists, engineers, soldiers, intelligence officers. All of them had spent years preparing for this moment. Jake, I need you to prepare our response to the Council's demands. Yes, sir. What should I tell them? I'll let you know in a few hours. First, I want to speak with some other people. The meeting ended. As people filed out of the room, President Richards remained in his chair. He thought about the choice he had to make. Fight and risk everything, or surrender and lose everything. His aide approached him. Sir, there are some people here to see you. They say it's important. Who are they? Representatives from the Mars Colony Council, the Luna City government, and the space stations. They want to discuss the Council's demands. President Richards sighed. Of course they did. This decision affected more than just Earth. Millions of humans lived throughout the solar system now. They all had a voice in what happened next. Send them in. For the next 2 hours, President Richards listened to arguments from across the solar system. The Mars colonists wanted to fight. They had worked too hard building their new world to give it up now. The Luna City representatives were more cautious. They were closer to Earth and would be destroyed first if the fighting went. Badly. The space station crews were split. Some wanted to evacuate to the outer system. Others wanted to stay and fight. Everyone had an opinion. Everyone was scared. Finally, President Richards made his decision. He called Jake Morrison into his office. Jake, I need you to record our response to the Council's demands. What should I say, Mr. President? Keep it simple. One word will be enough. Jake looked confused. One word? Sir, the Council is expecting detailed surrender terms. Population lists, resource schedules, technology transfers. They'll want formal documents. President Richards smiled for the first time in days. They can want whatever they like. We're not giving them any of those things. What's the one word, sir? No. Jake stared at him. Just ... no? Just no. We will not comply. We will not submit. We will not surrender. If they want to fight, we'll give them a fight. Sir, are you sir? Jake Morrison stood in the United Nations Communication Center. The room was filled with recording equipment and transmission devices. Cameras pointed at a simple podium where Jake would deliver humanity's response to the Galactic Council. Around the world, billions of people watched their screens. Everyone knew this moment would change history. Children stayed home from school. Adults left work early. Families gathered together to hear what their ambassador would say. Jake wore his best suit. His hands shook slightly as he adjusted his tie. In his pocket was a small piece of paper with President Richards' instructions. One word written in simple letters. The most important word anyone had ever spoken. We're ready, Ambassador, said the technician behind the camera. Jake nodded. He stepped up to the podium and looked directly into the camera. Somewhere above Earth, the Council ship waited for his message. They expected surrender documents. They expected tribute schedules. They expected complete submission. They would not get any of those things. This is Ambassador Jake Morrison, speaking for the United Earth Government and all human colonies throughout the solar system. His voice was steady now. The shaking had stopped. I am responding to the demands made by the Galactic Council 3. Days ago, Jake paused. He thought about the destroyed worlds Amy Brooks had shown them. 17 civilizations wiped out because they refused to submit. Maybe Earth would join them soon. But maybe not. The Council has demanded 40% of our resources, 20% of our population, and surrender of all our technology. You have given us 30 days to comply or face destruction. Another pause. Jake could imagine Zarkith and the other Council members listening to this message. They probably expected him to announce surrender terms by now. They probably had their tribute collection ships ready to deploy. I have discussed your demands with the leaders of humanity. We have considered your terms carefully. We have examined our options. We have made our decision. Jake reached into his pocket and touched the piece of paper. He did not need to read it. The word was burned into his memory. Our answer is no. The word hung in the air like a thunderclap. Jake let the silence stretch for several seconds. Around the world, people held their breath. We will not comply with your demands. We will not surrender our resources. We will not give you our people. We will not hand over our technology. We choose to remain free. Jake stepped back from the podium. The technician stopped recording. The message was sent to the Council ship above Earth and broadcast to every human settlement in the solar system. On the Council flagship, Zarkith watched the human ambassador's message with growing confusion. This had never happened before. No species had ever refused the Council's demands with such simple directness. Play the message again, Zarkith ordered. His aide activated the replay. They watched Jake Morrison deliver his short speech. The word no echoed through the command center. Where are the surrender documents? Asked Subcommander Veltar. Where are the tribute schedules, the population lists, the technology transfers? There are none, Zarkith said slowly. The humans are refusing. The bridge crew looked at each other in confusion. In 1,000 years of Council expansion, this had never happened. Species either surrendered immediately or tried to negotiate. None had ever simply said no. Sir, what are your orders? Asked the weapons officer. ZAR single quotes KETH thought for a moment. The humans were clearly confused about their situation. They probably did not understand the Council's power. A demonstration would fix that. Target their largest city. Prepare to fire a warning shot. Destroy one building. That should help them understand. Yes, sir. But as the weapons officer reached for his controls, alarms began sounding throughout. The ship, red lights flashed on every display. Sir, we have a problem, called the sensor operator. I'm detecting massive energy signatures throughout the system. What kind of energy signatures? Unknown. They appeared suddenly. They're everywhere. On the main display, the solar system map lit up with hundreds of new contacts. Ships appeared near Jupiter. Weapons platforms came online in the asteroid belt. Defense systems activated around Earth's moon. How many ships are we detecting? Zarkith asked. Over 200, sir. All of them appear to be armed. Zarkith stared at the display. This was impossible. Human intelligence said. Earth had only 12 ships. Primitive ones. How could they have hidden an entire fleet? Are you certain these readings are accurate? Yes, sir. I'm also detecting some kind of energy field building around the system. It's interfering with our faster-than-light communications. On Earth, Dr. Lucy Hayes activated her field generator. Power flowed from 5 different sources across 2 planets. The device hummed with barely contained energy. When it fired, every council ship in the solar system would be trapped. Field strength at 60%, reported her assistant. 70%? 80%. How long until full power? 2 minutes. Lucy watched the readings on her screen. Everything depended on this working correctly. If the field failed, the council could call for reinforcements. If it worked, humanity would have a chance. Field at maximum power, ready to fire. Do it, the generator fired. An invisible wave of energy spread outward from Mars at the speed of light. It washed over every ship in the solar system, human and alien alike. For council ships, it disrupted their faster-than-light systems. They were now trapped in Earth's solar system until the field collapsed. Admiral Grace Foster felt the wave pass through her flagship. Her ships had been designed to work with the field. They could still move and fight normally. But the council ships were now stuck. All ships, this is Admiral Foster. Operation Freedom is now active. Move to attack positions. Around Jupiter, 200 human warships came out of hiding. They had been built in secret over 20 years. Each one was armed with the best weapons human science could create. They moved toward Earth at maximum speed. Commander Nick Stone watched from his hidden station as his weapons platforms came online. 47 artificial asteroids suddenly sprouted weapons and sensor arrays. They surrounded the council fleet like a net of steel. All platforms report ready, said Lieutenant Kim. We have clear shots at every council ship. Hold fire until Admiral Foster gives the order, Nick replied. We want them to know they're surrounded first. On the council flagship, chaos erupted. On the bridge, Zarkith watched in horror as human ships appeared on every side. His fleet was completely surrounded. How is this possible? He demanded. Our intelligence said they were primitives. Sir, we're receiving a transmission from Earth, reported the communications officer. Put it through. President Tony Richards appeared on the main screen. He sat behind his desk in the Oval Office. His expression was calm and serious. Commander Zarkith, I am President Richards of the United Earth Government. I assume you have received our response to your demands. Zarkith found his voice. Your ambassador said no. This is unacceptable. The Council's demands are not negotiable. You're right. They're not negotiable. That's why we're refusing them. You cannot refuse. We have the power to destroy your world. President Richards smiled slightly. Do you? Look around, Commander. You're surrounded by over 200 human warships. Your faster-than-light systems are disabled. You cannot call for reinforcements. You cannot escape. Your situation has changed significantly. Zarkith looked at his tactical display. The President was right. Council ships were scattered throughout the inner solar system, each one targeted by multiple human vessels. The weapons platforms in the asteroid belt had clear shots at his flagship. What do you want? Zarkith asked. I want you to leave our system. Immediately. Take your ships and go. Never come back. The Council will not accept this. Other fleets will come. You cannot resist the entire Galactic Council. Maybe not, but we can resist you. And right now, that's enough. Captain Ryan Kelly listened to the conversation from his command ship. Everything was going according to plan so far. The Council was trapped and surrounded. But the real test was still coming. Sir, called his tactical officer. The Council ships are moving into defensive formation. They're preparing to fight. Let them. Are our ships in position? Yes, sir. All battle groups report ready. Ryan opened a channel to Admiral Foster. Admiral, this is Captain Kelly. Council ships are moving to engage. Your orders? Disable their ships if possible. Destroy them if necessary. But do not let any of them escape to bring reinforcements. Understood? The battle for Earth's freedom was about to begin. Zarkith made his decision. All ships, prepare for combat. Target the largest human vessels. We may be trapped, but we can still destroy their fleet before we die. Sir, are you sure? We are outnumbered. We are the Galactic Council. We do not surrender to primitives. The Council ships opened fire. Energy beams lanced across space toward human vessels. But the humans were ready. Their ships scattered and returned fire. The asteroid platforms joined the battle, catching Council ships in crossfire. The space around Earth lit up with weapons fire. Explosions bloomed like deadly flowers. Ships on both sides took damage. Some were destroyed, but slowly the human advantage became clear. They had superior numbers and better positioning. The Council ships, designed for orbital bombardment, were not prepared for ship-to-ship combat against an equal force. One by one, count. 3 days after the battle, Zarkith sat in a small room aboard a human prison ship. His hands were bound with energy restraints. Through the window, he could see the wreckage of his fleet floating in space. Broken Council ships drifted like dead metal among the asteroids. A human guard opened the door. The President will see you now. Zarkith was led through the corridors of the ship. Human crew members stopped their work to stare at him. He had been the terror of the galaxy for decades. Now he was just a prisoner walking to meet his captors. President Richards waited in a conference room. With him sat Jake Morrison, Admiral Foster, and Dr. Sam Watson. They looked tired but satisfied. The impossible had happened. Earth had defeated the Galactic Council. Sit down, Commander, President Richards said. ZAR single quotes KETH took the offered chair. I demand to speak with my superiors. The Council must be informed of what happened here. I'm afraid that's not possible, Jake Morrison said. We've been monitoring Council communications across the galaxy. Your superiors think you're still negotiating with us. They have no idea you've been defeated. That's impossible. Our ships would have sent automatic distress signals. Admiral Foster smiled. Your ships tried to send signals. Our jamming systems blocked them. As far as the rest of the Council knows, everything is proceeding normally. Zarkith felt a chill of fear. If the Council did not know what happened, they would not send reinforcements. His defeat would remain a secret until it was too late to matter. What do you want from me? He asked. President Richards leaned forward. Information. We want to know everything about Council operations. Fleet positions, supply lines, command structures, weaknesses. Everything. I will never betray the Council. You already have. By losing to us, you've shown the galaxy that the Council can be beaten. Word is already spreading to other worlds. Dr. Watson activated a wall screen. It showed interceptions of communications. From across the galaxy, messages flew between enslaved worlds. The news of Earth's victory was spreading faster than the Council could contain it. Rebellion on Kepler 7. Sam read from the messages. Uprising on New Centauri. Armed resistance on the mining worlds of Vega. Your defeat has inspired others, Commander. Zarkith stared at the messages. 1,000 years of Council rule was crumbling because of one word. Because one species had said no. This cannot be happening. It is happening, President Richards said. The age of Council dominance is ending. The question is whether you want to be part of the solution or part of the problem. Meanwhile, on the other side of the solar system, Beth Collins worked frantically in her shipyard. The victory over the Council was just the beginning. Other Council fleets would come eventually. Earth needed to be ready. Status report, she called to her workers. 50 new ships completed this week, her foreman replied. Another 100 will be ready next month, but we're running low on raw materials. What do we need? Rare metals for the advanced systems. Titanium for the hull plating. Uranium for the power cores. Beth thought about the problem. Earth's resources were limited. If they were going to build the fleet needed to protect the galaxy's new freedom, they would need help. Send a message to the mining colonies at Alpha Centauri. Tell them we're offering military protection in exchange for materials. What about the other human settlements? Same offer. We protect them. They help supply our shipyards. It's time to unite all of humanity. On Mars, Dr. Lucy Hayes was working on a different problem. Her faster-than-light jamming field had worked perfectly during the battle, but it only lasted 8 hours before burning out. If more Council ships came, she needed a better solution. Doctor. Hayes, her assistant called. We are receiving technical data from the captured Council ships. Lucy looked up from her calculations. What kind of data? Everything. Ship designs, weapon specifications, faster-than-light technology. The humans who boarded the Council ships downloaded their entire database. Lucy smiled. This was exactly what she needed. Council technology was centuries ahead of human science. But now they had access to it all. Start analyzing the faster-than-light systems. I want to understand how they work. If we can build our own version, we can travel to other star systems. What would we do there? Help other species fight for their freedom. The Council has enemies everywhere. We need to find them and unite them. Alex Turner was already working on that problem. In his intelligence center, he studied maps of Council territory. Red dots marked Council strongholds. Blue dots marked worlds in rebellion. Green dots marked species that might be convinced to join the fight. How many species are currently fighting the Council? He asked his staff. 17 confirmed rebellions. Maybe 20 more planning uprisings. The news of Earth's victory is spreading faster than we expected. Good. Open communication channels with all of them. Offer military support and technical assistance. We need to coordinate these rebellions. Sir, we don't have enough ships to help everyone. Not yet. But we will. Beth Collins is building new ships every day. Soon we'll have fleets to spare. Alex studied the galactic map. The Council controlled thousands of worlds across hundreds of star systems. But their empire was built on fear. When that fear was broken, the empire would collapse. Start planning liberation campaigns. Identify the most important Council worlds. If we can capture their main shipyards and command centers, we can cripple their ability to fight back. President Richards received reports from all these efforts. Earth was transforming from a single world to the center of a galactic liberation movement. But he knew the hardest battles were still ahead. Jake Morrison entered his office with new intelligence reports. Mr. President, we're intercepting more Council communications. They're starting to realize something is wrong. What are they saying? 3. Council fleets have lost contact with their high command. 17 worlds are in open rebellion. Their supply lines are being attacked by insurgents. They're starting to panic. President Richards nodded. How long before they figure out what really happened here? Maybe a week, maybe less. When they do, they'll send everything they have to destroy us. Then we need to be ready. How many ships? Do we have operational now? 400 and growing? Admiral Foster is training new crews as fast as possible. But we're still outnumbered 1,000 to 1. President Richards looked out his window at the night sky. Somewhere out there, other species were fighting for their freedom. Earth had given them hope by proving the Council could be beaten. Now, humanity had to help finish what they had started. Jake, I want you to prepare a message. Broadcast it to every world in Council space. What should the message say? That Earth stands with all free peoples. That we will fight alongside anyone who chooses freedom over slavery. That the age of Council dominance is over. A message was sent within hours. It traveled across the galaxy at the speed of light, reaching distant worlds weeks later. But its effect was immediate. Species that had suffered under council rule for centuries suddenly had hope. On the prison world of Vega Prime, alien slaves heard the message and began planning escape. On the mining colony of Rigel 4, workers organized strikes. On the council, capital world itself, subject species began gathering in secret to discuss rebellion. The word no had become a virus spreading throughout the galaxy. Commander Zarkith sat in his cell and listened to the reports. Each day brought news of more rebellions, more defeats for council forces. The empire he had served his entire life was falling apart. A human guard brought him his daily meal. Bad news from home, Commander? Zarkith looked up at the young man. He was probably no older than 20, just a child by galactic standards. Yet this child species had destroyed a 1,000-year empire with a single word. Why did you do it? Zarkith asked. Do what? Say no. You could have surrendered. Your people would have lived as slaves, but they would have lived. Now you've doomed them all. When the full council fleet arrives, Earth will be destroyed. The guard thought about the question. My grandfather fought in Earth's last world war. He told me something before he died. He said freedom isn't something you get. It's something you take, and once you take it, you have to be willing to die to keep it. You're all going to die. Maybe, but we'll die free. And maybe our deaths will inspire others to keep fighting. Sometimes that's enough. The guard left. Zarkith sat alone with his thoughts. He had never understood species like humanity. The council offered them order, stability, and peace. In exchange, they only asked for submission. Most species accepted. The bargain gladly. But some species, like humanity, chose chaos over control. They chose freedom over safety. They chose to fight impossible odds rather than accept comfortable slavery. For 1,000 years, the council had eliminated such species. They were considered defective, dangerous to galactic stability. But now Zarkith wondered if the council had been wrong. Maybe freedom was worth fighting for. Maybe some things mattered more than survival. A month later, President Richards stood before the United Nations General Assembly. Representatives from every human colony attended, either in person or by video link. The chamber was packed with reporters and observers. Fellow humans, he began. 1 month ago, we faced a choice: submit to slavery or fight for freedom. We chose to fight. Today, I can report that our choice has changed the galaxy. He activated a hoe.